And fine. Okay, so as of yesterday, we discussed more on a general terms that how the PMI's PMP is structured, what you are going to do on the exam day, about the question answers, some of the high level introduction. Today, it's more of a foundation session that I have created based on some of the important topics which comes again and again in during the studies of 13 chapters. So I have combined the information and the knowledge of those chapters here. So in this way, what happens is that in that way you we cover it as the basis, as a foundation, so this knowledge can be used at the later stages and we don't need to go in details of those again and again. So let me put it this way here. So as a process, as I told you that in the examination, I mean, it is said and it is written in the PMP exam content outline that the exam is based on the process group. So it is more of an introduction in a process group, that what is expecting of you in the process group. So we have first one, which is initiating. Then we have planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. For initiating, it means we are committing an organization to a project or a phase. We are securing the necessary approvals and making sure the resources, whatever, whether finance or human or material or equipment or facilities, these are available to take up for this project, and validate the alignment with the strategic objectives. That is very important for the PMI's perspective, that you should not be doing a project or a program that is not adding a value to an organization, and it is not helping the organization to move towards their ultimate goal. That is very important, and we will see when we go to the strategic alignment of OPM3. Project manager's role is high level. First of all, project manager is defined as part of the initiating of the process. So it is very important that the process groups are verb. They are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Your job here is to help identify the high level scope based on the business and compliance requirement. Where are we going? What is business expected? What is the end game that we are looking for? And that is what happens in the initiating. Planning is of major importance to a project, because a project involves doing something which has not been done before. So you need to plan that how we are going to do it. We saw yesterday there are some core processes which have clear dependencies that require them to perform in essentially the same order on most projects. So those are the processes like identification of the scope, creation of the work breakdown structure, identify activities, create scheduling. This is what we have to do. You cannot create a work breakdown structure without identification of the requirement. You cannot do the scheduling before identification of the activities, before identification of the resources, before identification of the duration. Schedule cannot come out. So these are the core processes. If you remember, we have three types of processes. So these are the core processes that you would be doing in essentially in a more of a one after another, because that you need to perform to in specific order to make sure that the project is delivered. These are core planning processes, and most of them are iterated several times during one phase of the project. Why? We will look into it. Then we have facilitating processes. These interaction among the planning processes and more dependent on the nature of the processes. These are they are not optional. They are but facilitating the core processes that if you are doing it, then you might need to uh, 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 do this process, because one or two planning processes or core processes are dependent on this. Then you have an execution where you will take up all what you have planned and get into and makes your boot dirty and then start working on it. Very important with regards to execution, executing is that it is not your job as an execution. You have a team who are going to do it: subject matter expert, masons, developers, doctors, team members. Your job in execution is more of making the making sure that all the commitments that people have done, they are they are actually delivering it. They are making sure, you are making sure that if finance has asked, have committed a resource, they are providing it. If procurement has committed a resource, procurement is making sure that it is happening. So in that way, your job in executing is more of a facilitator, more of a person who is a problem solver. Then you have a monitoring and controlling. Project performance must be measured regularly to identify the variances from the plan. Variances are fed into the control processes in the various knowledge areas to the extent that significant variances are observed. I mean, monitoring and controlling, these very simple example is that once you go for to a market, you always have something in your mind that today we are going to the market or something we need to buy as for some, if it is $100 and you find it is as $102, you just don't come back. They said, no, we will not buy it because it is $102. You have that variance in your mind that, okay, if we have last time checked the prices was 100, maybe it might be 101, or maybe there is some sale. So there is always a variance. This is normal variance and it is always expected that this will happen, in whether it is in terms of your timings. You, if somebody is giving you 7, you always expect that there is a 7-ish time, maybe 6:58 to 7:02. So I mean, lately I started using the word in terms of timings ish, because 7-ish, or because in that way you are actually covering that small margin, but 7-ish does not, never means 7:15. Okay, and the closing is where we say, yes, we are done with the job that we have started with the initiating. In all the processes, in all these process groups, we will now go into the details of it. And with every process group, we will cover purpose, why it is there, the tasks that you need to deliver as part of the process group, what are the processes that we have, what are the major inputs and deliverables. I mean, obviously, when we are talking of planning, there are 24 processes as part of the planning process group. And so we cannot identify all the inputs and deliverables. So here I put it as a major inputs and outputs, so that, I mean, there is one question everybody asks: do we need to memorize ITTOs? My answer is no, you do not need to. First of all, the first rationale behind it is you need to focus your energies where you are expecting the most number of questions. So ITTOs, you will not get the question. No way. So there is no chance that you need to memorize ITTOs, number one. Number two, if you are so, I mean, obviously this, I am sure that thing will be in the kitty. So you will maximum get one question. So you do not memorize, please do not memorize it, do not try, do not attempt it. What is important that we will see as major input and output, that when we said initiating, what does it mean? What is the input that we need to look at, and what are the major output? Same with the planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So Now you can see this is a small relationship diagram between the process groups and the knowledge areas. So process group is a logical grouping of project management ITTOs, initiating process group, process to perform, define a new one. If planning is to establish the scope of the project. And you can see there is one knowledge area which is an integration. It is part of all the process groups. So if you remember yesterday, I told you that there is one area which is yours, which is as a project manager, your area. You cannot delegate its jobs. You cannot delegate its tasks. You may have a cost controller, you may have a scheduler, you may have a procurement manager, you may have a HR manager, you may have a person from PMO who is controlling the PMO status reportings. You may have a risk manager. You have all the subject matter experts, but integration is something that is yours area, and that is why you could see it is the only area which is there in every process group, and you are an umbrella on the project, making sure that all the processes, all the tasks, all the deliverables, whatever is happening on the project, it is integrated it is happening in an integrated way. So the next one. So we have 2 processes in initiation, 8 tasks, 24 processes in planning, 13 tasks. Executing has 10 processes, monitoring and controlling has 12 processes, and closing has 1 process, which means 49 processes. Most of them are in planning. It is said that if you are not planning, you are actually planning to fail. Starting with the initiating process group. The purpose, the goal of this phase is to define the project at a broad level by obtaining authorization to start the project. I mean, I used a word phase, but please, it is not a phase. That is a wrong terminology that has been written on this slide. It is not a phase. So cut it like that. It's a process group. The first step of any project involves casting a vision for what will be accomplished throughout the duration of the project. Without this step in the process, there is no groundwork laid, and a foundation is crucial for a building of anything, including successful projects. Initiating creates a strong foundation upon which the other 4 process groups are built. The objective or the purpose of the initiation is aligning the stakeholders' expectation with the project's purpose. This is one of the very important challenge, because maybe you may have a BPR or you may have a business case being done. Now it is very important that you need to sell it, and everybody should be aligned in the right direction. Give them visibility about the scope and objective. Explain how their engagement and participation in the project and in associated phases, that is all other things that are happening on the project, can ensure that their expectations are achieved. Tell them why are they in the project. You will see that, I mean, in specifically in the 2015 PMI triangle as part of the 2017 book. Now, you as a project manager are not only a technical project manager, but you need to actually do a lot of strategic alignment, a lot of marketing on the project, that what is going to happen, and how everybody would think of your project. I don't know, we need to come back to this slide later. The question of when a project actually starts can be difficult one to answer, because is it started from when people are thinking that we need to do the project. I mean, more of when you have a business case, somebody is thinking that, okay, we should be initiating a construction of the project, or we should be investing our money in, or we should be updating the organizational IT applications, or we should be having some new process enhancements, or we should be doing the overhauling of the building. I mean, this is the point when the project has started, or it is started when you said, yes, fine, let's do it. So business case is the document that is produced to illustrate the cost benefit and required investment to the organization that need to undertake the project to go ahead. So business case is the most important document as a project manager for you to understand why, what, when, and how. All these questions are part of the business case. Business case tells you that why are we doing it? What is expected of this project from you? The business case or initiating process group should answer questions like, what is the project going to do? What is the business case asking for doing it? Who wants this project to be done? Where is the money coming from, and who is going to manage the work when the project is being done? So you are actually looking at high level answers, that why are we doing this project? Okay, and who is going to do the work? So the team assignment as a higher level is also part of your initiating process group. In the initiating process group, there are only two processes: define project charter and identify stakeholder. Define project charter is the process to define new project or phase, giving a formal authorization of the project initiation. Provides the project manager an authority to apply the organizational resources to deliver the project objectives. Who are you as a project manager? I mean, why should a finance director, HR director, QA, QC manager, risk manager would listen to you? Why? Because that is the document. A charter is a document that says that Mudassir is allowed to use the organizational resources of X amount, and that number of Y number of people, or this number of facilities to deliver this initiative. I have that signed document from the authority within an organization, that authority everybody accepts, and that is what we will look into project charter. That once we go into the project charter, who should be making it and who should be signing it. And then identify the stakeholder. I mean, the reason this initiative is being created, the reason that we are here, the reason that we are being paid is because somebody somewhere actually thought of this project. So we need to identify those stakeholders. Regularly identifying project stakeholder. We will see in the stakeholder goals that this is one of those processes that never stops. It starts from day one, and it may never end. Even on the last day, somebody comes in, and after 1 year, and his text people comes in, they say, what did you do last year? Please provide those income documents. So this is how your stakeholders moves, and every process that you are in, every phase of the project, we will go into the phases of the project. You have different stakeholders in the initiating process group, or the initiation of a process of a project. You have different stakeholders. You might be talking with the sponsors, you might be talking with the contract manager, you might be talking about some major other stakeholders. But once you go into the planning, you will be talking with the mid-level managers who are actually managing the work, but they are still not doing it. Once you get into the execution, you will be dealing more of the frontline managers who are the boots on the ground, who are actually doing the job. And that is why I'm sure you all have seen that once you start the execution, you find a lot of difference in the level of understanding of the middle managers and the people who are in the front line. The way they do the job and the way it is being planned in the mind of the middle managers are two different worlds. Keep analyzing and documenting relevant information regarding the expectations and impacts. That is what the identify stakeholders is. In terms of input, initiating process group consists of processes necessary to define new project or a new phase of an existing project. It involves obtaining the authorization. It defines the objectives, outcomes, and most importantly, success criteria. How would you say the project has been handed over? What is the success criteria that you are saying, yes, this job is done? You are assigned as a project manager as part of the initiating process group. It identifies the financials, that where the finances will come in. The inputs to the project charter are normally documented decisions and can include the contracts where applicable, project statement of work, because we will see once we go into the procurement that where you will actually change your role, that we will be issuing the project statement of procurement statement of work. So this is from where we receive some RFIs or RFP. That is a project statement of work. Details of organization cultures, guidelines, policies, procedure. This is normally written by the project sponsor or whoever initiated the project. If the project is external, then it will be written normally through by the buyer. So charter is the one. Then the project stakeholders are individuals and organizations that are actively involved on your project, whose interests may be affected as a result of the project execution or a project completion. They may also exert influence. So either you will be influenced, you will influence them, or if they are a governmental regulatory body, they will influence. If they are NGOs, they might influence. If they are power groups, they will influence. So they will exert influence over the project objectives and outcomes. I mean, always give an example that I first visited the UK in 2004. Since then, they were asking for the new runway for the Heathrow. But they had the business case, they had everything. But for 15 years, the NGO, the local mayor just did not allow it. And they lost the number one standing to Dubai, and they lost everything. But they said, no, it is just too harmful for the society and the surrounding areas. I think it was approved in 2017, 16 or 17. And at that very moment, mayor or the person in the parliament from that area, from the government party, resigned. That this is what you are doing is not good for the society, not good for my area. So that is how you have the project stakeholders. Remember, I told you yesterday, if you are constructing a hotel, the stakeholders are not the one who are not only the one who are actually paying you the money right now. The stakeholders are those also who are actually going to come and stay in the same hotel after 25 years. So the development, the testers, the user groups, the project managers, I mean, well, we will go into the stakeholders, and you need to open your mind that who are the stakeholders on your project, and the key input is the business document that you are looking at. Now we have a planning process group. Remember, the point of planning is to create a project plan. The project plan decides the project plan actually provides a leadership and direction to the project so that the executing and control processes can happen. It's a formal management approved document. Once it is approved, work will begin. Planning is an iterative process, bro, because it's a project, because a project rarely happens, if ever happens, exactly when you as a project team member or a project manager knows everything on day one. So project team and project manager keep on identifying things, and they get better, have a better and better understanding with every passing day on the project. The main purpose of this phase is to plan time, cost, and resources adequately to estimate the work needed and effectively manage the risk. The purpose is outline the strategy and the tactics to successfully complete the project, identify the risks that are not visibly visible upfront, because the risks that are being part of the project initiating is just on a higher level. That is more of if government changes the rule, that is that the risk that you will be covering in the project charter is more that if the funding will stop, if the market will change, and if the laws will change, then what? So in the initiating, risks are more towards the overall project aligned risk, that if project can be stopped. But once you go into the planning, you need to tell that while on doing the task of painting of exterior of the building between June 15th and June 25th, there are chances of rains, and that might put this task at risk. You would say that because we are importing an equipment from the Europe to Americas, or from Japan to America, then and it should get on the ground on 15th of July. And if that would not happen, so here what we are talking in planning is the tasks that are at risk, people that are at risk. And obviously it's not, I mean, that's what I'm telling you at the granular level. You will also identify over the period of time that what objectives of the projects could be at risk, because equipment will not get on time. Maybe some visa issues will put some members to be flown from Europe to US cannot do it. You need to fly from Canada to the Middle East. It will not happen. Then what objective? One of the objective is to launch a hotel for the festival that is being on the corner, around the corner. And because of the visa restriction, now you have failed that objective. Some of that failure of some of the tasks could fail a project objective. So these are the things that you are actually looking at in the planning. There are a lot of things going into the planning, and that is why you have almost a 24 tasks, 24 processes in it. It must be understood that as soon as project begins, new factors will become apparent. Priorities will change, promised resources will not be materialized, and the planning process, if the planning process is not sufficiently flexible to take account of these something and many other, the project will fail. We will see while doing a planning that it is not a hard rock or something that cannot change. We need to build a resilience within a project, that how and what we should do, that if we received an unplanned knock or unplanned hook from other side, how we are going to build up again. The problems created by too little plannings are obvious. There will be insufficient information to make valid estimates of time cost. On the other hand, and I have seen it many a time, and I am actually working with one manager, if he's too much into the planning, he wants everything to be done by the book. No, we need to do thing like that. This is how we need to move. If I don't get it in writing, we will not move. This is paralysis by analysis. And the project team may find their plans unrealistic. You are just too much into your team and trying to control them, that how we are going to do it. So because they are based on unfounded assumption. So these are the paralysis by analysis. So it's a balance that you have to find, a fine balance between what is too much in planning and what is too little planning. I mean, and it completely depends on how the person is, and nobody can tell you that what is good enough and what is more than good enough and what is just wastage of time. That is your gut feeling, and that is why I always say that the certifications will not make you good project manager. It will just put you into the right track to become a good project manager, to tell you that, Mudassir, please, you may have these risks. So once I know these risks, then actually I can balance it out. In order to successfully execute, which is the third process grow, we must plan successfully first. The project planning phase is the often challenging part of the project manager. You need to make an educated guess of the staff, and we will see we are bad at forecasting. What is forecasting? Forecasting and the future that we are planning is based on what we have done. So my experiences are that every project always get delayed. Mr. Iqbal's experience is that projects do not get delayed. Thermila says that 80% of the project. So if I plan, I will plan completely different. So it is very important, and I'm not wrong, you are not wrong. It is an educated guess based on the information available. Take an example again, this is an extreme example, but pandemic happened. We are here on the ground for 100 years after the last pandemic happened, and there was so many epidemics were happening around the world, but no one was prepared for that. We all were not expecting. So it's an educated guess that yes, it could not, something like this could not happen. Although from 2005, when this pandemic happened, I was reading some of the research document, and they said since 2005, it is being written and being identified by the World Health Organization that humankind is on the verge of another pandemic. Reason being that people are eating animals, live animals. And they said that the pandemic will come from these states because they are eating live animals. All the pandemics, if you see in the history, they come from the animals, because this is the strain that are coming from the animals. We are, as a human body, we are not ready for it. COVID or the SARS or Corona has been there for many years, but this strain which actually came from the bat, we were not ready for it. Last one was the same one, and the previous one was the same one. So it is said, but nobody bothered. So specific. So here we will be planning based on our educated guess, and that's again smart. I don't know who made it. This is smart. It should be dumb goals. So smart goals are, you need to have a specific goal, making sure that you know whatever you are planning, what is the success criteria, so that you can measure your job is done, and then it should be attainable. Better service. I should be reducing my caffeine. I should be going to the bed early. They are very good. But can you measure it? What is early? What is reducing my caffeine? Are they really realistic? You should be willing and able to work towards a particular goal. Timely, create a time frame to achieve the goal. 30 days we are here to do this preparation for the PMP certification. In 30 days it is attainable because we have been, this is now a batch 4, people have passed measurable results because you can get the certification examination. It is time bound, you don't have an unlimited time. So you, this is the smart goal that you are starting. And so it has to be smart, and it has to be a clear, collaborative, limited, not an unlimited goal, emotional, you believe in it, you have a passion to achieve it, then appreciable, break larger goals into the smaller tasks so that you can quickly achieve it. People can have a feeling of success, small successes, and you can refine it later. Once you have a better information, you could refine it. So your planning goal should be smart and should have a clear roadmap. Here you could see you have 24 processes. I would not go into the details of it right now. We will go into the details of it when they come into your process groups. Okay. Input. Scope of the project. Key planning process groups. The planning process group involves scope of the project, actions required, product to be produced, sequencing of the work, creating of an schedule, estimating the resource and efforts, estimating the cost and creating a budget. The key output of this is the project plan that you are going to deliver. The project plan is not the project schedule. Work breakdown structure, schedule, budget, and other subordinate plans that I will show you what are those. So these are the things. So baselines is like schedule, budget, and scope. Performance baseline is what is the variance that you are okay, 5%, 2%, 1%. Requirement traceability matrix is the document that we will see, because humans are about requirements. You need to deliver the requirements. So if you are again constructing a 5-star hotel, if you ask a question to the security in charge, what would he be interested in? Yes, you are a project manager of construction of a 5-star hotel, and you are talking to the security in charge about his requirements. What would he be interested in? Yes, anybody there out there? And that is why we would like to have the videos open, so at least I have a feeling that I'm not talking to the walls. I'm talking to the people.
See,
Yes,
as you have said that if the project manager speaks to the security manager or the security director, obviously then security director is going to ask from his perspective that how many doors and gates will be there, how many security cameras would be required, and what type of communication link would be provided. Would be it a wireless, or it be a fiber optic, or it's the Ethernet, or it's Cat3 cable. So
if you tell him that you have a very beautiful kitchen, would he be interested in?
no way, he's not
So
chef.
that, yes, so that is why this is very important, that the stakeholders are not interested in your projects. They are not interested in the whole scope, the beautification and everything. The chef is interested in that, how he will make sure that what is happening in the kitchen, you get the right hot, delicious food in the halls and how soon it can go to the rooms if somebody has ordered. If he has to go multiple doors and he would not like it. So every stakeholder is focused on their requirements, and that is where requirement traceability matrix and the competitive objectives and requirements comes in, because one person is saying I need to have a direct access from the kitchen to the ballroom. Security in charge says no, sorry, I cannot have it. The direct access, you have to go through this door. So these are becoming a competitive objectives on the project. The security manager is saying no, you cannot, you should have a gate installed on the main door, the electronic gates. And the hotel in charge is saying no, it will stop, it will make a queue on the project gate. So these are the competitive objects that you have to actually define and work on this way. Requirement traceability matrix plays a very vital role in making sure that you have covered and have written all the requirements. Changes will happen, changes are not going anywhere. It is only that how you are going to make it. Risk is part of everything that you do on your in your life, and same is the situation with the project. So risk index, methods to identify and evaluate risk, and risk mitigation and contingency planning is what are the key deliverables when it comes to the project planning process group. I'll take 10, 1, I think. Let us take 10 minutes break here, and then we will continue with the executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Okay,
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Thank
10
you.
minutes. Thank you. Hello. So everybody else is here?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, good. So let us begin the next 1 hour for us. Share my screen. Yes, this one. This the one. So now we are in the executing process group. The whole point of the project is to produce the deliverables. I mean, you did not start the project to initiate, to identify the risk, to plan it well. The objective is to begin delivering, and that is where the conflicts actually starts arising. You want to plan, but there is a terminology. uh, I mean, I was in the seminar and then somebody asked me that how do you find this project management in the Middle East, in the developing countries. I said that they have come to this one new terminology: quick wins, quick wins, quick wins. And that is where the executing process group and all these, the planning actually starts conflicting. The whole point of the project, as I said, is to deliverable some sort, and that would happen in the execution phase. Essentially, work is done according to the project plan and work, and then the work is monitored to make sure that the results are as per the expectation. We need to produce the deliverables as per plan by the by coordinating the people and resources, making sure that we have the right manage stakeholders expectations, and integrating and performing the project activities. uh, Oftentimes people are anxious to begin the work, as I told you. So with all the planning details in place, a team can move forward into the execution stage with a clear, ununified vision for all that is needed to be accomplished. Well, I mean, if you just jump in, it might get you a challenge in terms of what is the definition of done, what is the success criteria, what are you looking at. The execution stage is a place where the most of the budget is spent, where you will get to know most of the stakeholders, and this is the place and the on the S curve where you have a lot of change requests will come in. So if you, where is my annotation, so if this is your project, and I mean the S curve, I'm sure most of you must have seen. So this is your initiation, most of it planning, and that is your execution phase, and this is your closing. So most of the budget spent is here, most of the resources usage are here, most of the change requests will happen here, and most of the stakeholder engagement will also happen here. This is the area which is, prone to a lot of changes and errors and mistakes because of things you have not done right in these two, which is planning and initiation.
Mudassir, you were just giving a few minutes back the example of the Middle Eastern countries project. Have you ever been to Dubai?
Yes.
The world's biggest mall and the world's tallest building, they are just in the same premises. And I
Yes.
heard that within 3 years they have completed that massive project. What sort of planning they would have done for that?
It took them 7 years to deliver that project, because I think after the 63rd floor, it starts running delays because of the air pressure that they did not couldn't able to plan it earlier. So it was delayed around 3 to 4 years.
And how about Dubai Mall?
Dubai Mall is is within the this building, the Burj Khalifa, and obviously most of it was in, I mean, it hit the financial problems, a lot of the financial problems, and it has to be sold to the way the to some people, and the names have changed and stuff like that. So, but I mean, if you ask me as a project manager, you would in the at least in the recent times, one of some of the biggest projects are being done in the Middle East, and the other is China. But you cannot give an example of the projects in the Middle East because they are so financially overloaded. They make sure the project is done by financially overloading it, by putting the resources more, by putting the efforts more, and the kind of the resources, human and financial they put in, specifically in the development countries, you can create 3 or 4, and I'm sure even in the in the Canadian and US UK market, you will at least get the same thing in half of the price. So that is the challenge. But I mean, if you come into the, you see in the Saudi Arabia, the massive constructions, massive, you cannot even imagine the kind of the construction they plan.
Yeah, I agree with you because I was working for Saudi Aramco, the world's #1 oil producing and exporting company. And I was doing the first project of gas and oil separation plant in the middle of the desert, 270 kilometers away from the city. We had more than 2,000 of the contractors' employees, more than 2,000. And this plant was for 1 million barrel per day production. It's not big. There are 12 million barrel and 10 million barrel different plants, but we were able to complete it off in within 2 years.
So they
And
put a lot of resources in every
yeah,
project they wanted to close.
as you said, that funds and resources, and they pay really, really high. Because I was working for a private company, which was the Philips in Communications. And when I was working with Aramco as their consultant, the amount the people used to charge them was maybe 8, 10 times. And man, I got crazy. But yes, money is flowing there. That's why the projects, I used to find a small unit, they had a one project manager. Okay, I give you this unit of the building, you are a project manager, this, and then they have got their program manager, program manager has got a senior project manager. Oh my goodness.
Yes, true. This is obviously things have changed since 2007 and then 2015 economic downturn, and specifically now they are these are the challenging times as around the world. But still, the way they do the project is it's a royal. I mean, they cannot do the projects like Canadian and American, European, and the developing world where we are after penny of the project. What is their work? No, they do the project royally, so it has to be big.
Oh yes, and the very best thing was that we were never delayed.
Good. Yes, Aramco is very famous for this, that they don't delay on their projects.
Yes, every world has got their own standard, and Aramco has got their own standard.
Yes.
There is a whole library for the setup for the Saudi Aramco standard for every single thing.
Okay, that is good to know. So yes, Dushi, Roshan, Tharmila, you people are still out there. Not, it's not very late. It's not sleeping.
No, we're still there.
We are good.
All right. Yeah. Sorry to
I mean,
interrupt in between.
yes, I'm. Whenever I see the name of Dushi and Roshan, I feel a little bad. I'm pulling them into the session during their holidays, but the
Oh,
night time.
No. We're all good.
No worries.
Yes. So let's come back to the topic. So the task that you are going to do is establishing and managing the project team, coordinating people and the resources, monitoring the team performances, contracting procurements, directing and managing the project execution, distribution and information, and performing quality assurance activity. I mean, if you see all the tasks that are defined here, none of it is as an execution, developing, construction, HVAC, plumbing, writing the code, testing the test, having the resource buying. If you see monitoring, establishing, coordinating, directing, distributing, performing. So your job is to make sure that everyone on the project on this S curve, when you are executing, they are doing their job. This process involves more than simply production of the project deliverables. It is, it is like a relationship with monitoring and controlling. You cannot divide these two things. And as the work detail in the project plan is tackled, it becomes necessary to accept and document the changes. This means the main output of the project will also go and include as part of the change request. So whatever you are doing as part of an execution, it has to be monitored and controlled against the plan so that you can make sure that things which are being delivered here is what you have actually planned. It is not that something you did not plan it and you are trying to do it. And obviously changes are inevitable. It is going to come in. You have to manage it. So here we have 10 processes: direct and manage project work, manage project quality, manage team, develop team, manage communication. We will definitely go into the details of all these in the later stage. The main output of the project execution is only one. Remember it, one: deliverable. You are doing the job to deliver. There is no other expectation of you. There is no other thing that you are going to do it. So your job is to, responsibility is to deliver the project deliverable, and producing these with the responsibility of the project team who will be working on the project plan. So once you are doing the deliverable, change requests will come in. And how do you know that you are doing as per plan? And that is where the status is tracking, and status and trackings will come in. Conflict resolution, procurement contracts, work performance data, and project communication. Project communication will happen, and the agreements as a contract procurement will happen. The risk and issues management responses, the deliverable themselves are even the deliverable that you are doing or managing or actually performing or coming out of these, you have to make sure what is the work performance on it. What did you plan it for 5 days and $1,000? Is it like that? So change request, negotiation and influence to ensure appropriate staffs are assigned, motivating, building the team, mentoring the team, conflict resolution, whether within a team or within the stakeholders, procurement contracts and organizational processes are what you will be looking at. One thing that is defined is organizational process updates. See, things are defined as Mr. Iqbal said. There is a library there. I'm sure you all have ISO, and if you are linked with the health and care industry, there are a lot of procedures defined. But every time, every quarter, or maybe 6 monthly or a yearly, there is a review to it. And how you are going to review it, not from the mind or not from the space, but what is actually what is actually happening on the projects. Based on the feedback, you are going to update the processes of it. Then you have monitoring and controlling process group, the point of exercise to take account of what is being learned from the executing processes, from executing of the plan, and replan on the basis of the new information. Things will change is going to happen, so do not worry about it. Pivot, try to make a replan in order to prevent future project work from becoming too detached from the plan. Evaluation and comparison of the actual measured results against those planned is the fundamental principle of this process group. The inputs here are the project plan, what you have planned, and a progress reports, what is happening on the ground. It contains the collected data, so you can actually compare and make sure that you just are not making minimizing the gap, or if something is goes wrong, you get it back on the right track. You need to know the underlying causes. What is an RCA? What is the corrective action that needs to be taken? Purpose of monitoring and controlling process group is controlling the changes, making sure that yes, accepting that changes will come and these are required, but again anticipating that from where the changes are coming so that you can have a positive influence. Monitoring and ongoing project activities, again the project plan, influencing the factor that could circumvent the integrated change control. Whatever is coming, it has to go through the integrated change control. When it happens, then this is the only way to make sure that you have an approved change request happening on the you are only working on the approved change requests, and the change requests which are not approved, they are not implemented. So you don't need to face like gold plating, scope creep, or a contested changes, something that you have done and the clients are not willing to take and do the job. The practical issue that needs to be addressed in the executing activities will be monitored and how progresses will be reported. Here you are looking at the tracking, reviewing, and regulating the process progress. You are looking at the status reporting, progress measurements, and forecasting, because you plan, which means you forecast something has happened. The activities are not going as per the plan. You need to replan it. Reports on the scope, cost, schedule, resources, quantities, and risk. Control project, document changes, formalizing the acceptance of the deliverables, because this is what you are doing. This is where you are actually handing over, and this is where actually the client will make sure. It's like, you have a truck standing in your warehouse, the client truck, and that is where you are making sure that all your batch will go. It is more of a that once you receive something from Amazon and you could return it. So formalizes the acceptance of deliverables, record quality control results, and implement risk treatment plans and actions. That what you are looking here once you are in monitoring and controlling process groups. So we can see there are 12 processes here. Most of it is in the planning, monitoring and planning process group. And you could see it is largely one in every area except the integration and the scope. Control resource, control quality, control cost, control schedule, monitor risk, management stakeholder, control procurement, and monitor communication. So these are your monitoring and controlling process group. The key input is a project plan. I mean, as an effective project manager, you will also be able to assess and manage team members during this period, recognizing their concerns, need for change, effectively handling them, while keeping the project on track. The process groups relies heavily on the ability of the project manager to identify and troubleshoot the problems as they arise, and most importantly, try to preventing it from scaling the project. During this stage, it is important that you have a well-developed understanding of the risk assessment and management, because everything which is not going according to the plan is a risk. Because if the plan was supposed to be 10 days and you are using 12 days, it's a risk that you will go beyond your approved schedule and budget. So understanding of the risk is very, very important once you are dealing with the monitoring and controlling. The key outputs are project status reports, plan updates, risk registers, change request, and work product deliverable. So all monitoring and controlling will always have the change request exported, identified for them. And this is where the closing happens. Verify and define processes are completed, obtain the acceptance of the customer or the sponsor, conduct post-project phase and review, document the lesson learned, updating the organizational process assets, formally sign off. This is all what you will be doing as part of the closing process group. A carefully structured project closure phase should ensure that the project is brought to a control end, which effectively means all the project deliverables are formally transferred to the to others. All the lesson learned of projects are properly documented and archived so that these can be available later. Any contract that was established by the project are formally closed. There is nothing outstanding. You are looking at obtaining the acceptance of the customer and the sponsor, releasing the people and the resources, reporting on team performances and lesson learned, updating or finalizing the documents, project records, and the results, finalizing your procurements, performing quality assurance activities, storing and archiving the information so that this can be extracted later on your project. So this is the end, and you have only one process, the process of finalizing all the activities on the project phase, and the contract is closed project and phase. The input is accepted deliverable, that what you have done as part of the executing, approved as part of the monitoring and controlling, and you have an accepted deliverables. Here you would like to have a certification of completion of closeout, staff work assignments, resource calendars, plan updates, and final product and deliverables on the services. You need to know a closeout report will be made here, which has all the lesson learned. I mean, not all the lesson learned, but major lesson learned, the performances, and the biggest risk that you have. So this is where we conclude our discussion on the process groups. So do you have any question on these 5 process groups? Yes, anything?
No, it's too early to ask you a question on the topic which you took us through. Let us read it and then we come back with questions.
Fine. Good.
From my side. From others, yes, you can ask them.
Yes, Rushan.
I think we're okay for now. I will review the stuff. Just like going through each of the steps, I don't know if I'm jumping on all that, but are there some key processes to overcome? Like, for example, when we were talking about the planning phase, right? And we talked about key stakeholders and getting the input, but there comes a time when you're going to prioritize all those inputs and form what is going to be your plan, right? And get an agreement, right? So are there going to be some processes that you're going to be discussing in terms of how
Yes.
that can be done?
Yes,
Okay.
so there are 24 processes that we would go into the details of all those
Okay. All
as
right.
part of this. So at this point, we are just understanding how the process groups are linked and what we are expecting in each of it.
Okay, that sounds good.
What I like, can you go to the last slide, please?
Yes.
The key deliverables, if you see in this one closing, the closeout report. This
No.
is.
Nobody writes it. They just go, because by the time the project ends, everybody is so tired of it and they just wanted to close the project. So they just go, okay, move to the next project and then just forget the closeout report, which is lesson learned, which is risk, which is identifying what went right, what went wrong.
And at the end of the project, Aramco used to give a five-star party and the
Wow.
bonuses. And the bonuses. I love
And
that part.
and how it happened in Canada?
For Canada, well, I'm not working on the multi-million dollar project. My project, I'm working for City of Ottawa, and that too in just in the IT department. So
Okay.
it has got a limited budget, which is around maximum $2 to $3 million only. There I was working. My last project, which I started working on the project planning, was 2 billion USD.
Okay.
So coming from the massive project size and the funds, I came down to $1 to $2 to $3 million here in Canada because my scope is limited. I'm just into IT, and that too into the servers and the VMware and the Hyper-Vs.
Okay.
Totally different. I think
Completely
I have to
different.
say that I've changed my field now.
Yes. True. So moving forward. So this is one concept that we have on our project, and that is something that will come again and again when we are looking into the project, is the work performance data, information, and reports. Let me see if that works fine for me. All right. So what is work performance data? I mean, any idea, any definition? What is work performance data? Any guesses? Work performance data. Yes, Tharmila. Yes, Rushal
Any
Dushi.
any data that's gathered
What is any data?
that's relevant to the project.
Example.
I'm just going to read off from your slide.
Fair enough. Give me an
Any raw observations or measurements?
example.
Would this be something where you're measuring your target versus actual? What it's your actual performance versus what you anticipated, right?
Yes. So it is about you were supposed to do a job and you were supposed to you have a task to deliver, and then you said that, so if we are a people of a 5 team member and 4 team member, I am a project manager. So I come to you as Mr. Iqbal that you were supposed to deliver a task. A task is assigned to you, and he tells me back that I have done 50% of my job. Dushi said that I have done a 75% of a job. Roshan says that I have 30% of the job. And Tamila said that I have again 22% of the job. Now, this is the raw measurement. I mean, it does not tell you anything whether I have done 75% of the job. On the face of it, it is looking very good, but definitely you need to go back and make sure that was he supposed to be 75% or he's supposed to be 90%. A person, Thamila, who said 22%, is it supposed to be 22% or a 15% or a 30%? So this is the work performance data that you are collecting. It's a raw data that you collect from the environment. So having kids, if they are in the school, so it is the marks that they get in every subject. But overall, where are they standing, whether they are getting better or not, it is what you come into the work performance information, where you will combine this information, record this information, and distribute it in a physical and electronic way in a way saying that once I take that information back, I compile it in a way and then compare it with my planning, and I say, yes, Mr. Iqbal is delayed on his project. Ms. Doshi is above ahead of the schedule, but have spent more on the project. Roshan is doing fine. Thamila is within the variance ranges. So this is, once I have this information, then I can actually look into a bigger picture that yes, whether I can still achieve the project targets or we cannot achieve the project target. So this is where the work performance information comes in. So all executing processes, which are 10 if I am not wrong, always have one output, which is work performance data. All executing processes have the output work performance data because execution is happening based on the individual tasks, and all controlling processes have always input as a work performance data and output as a work performance information. Now you have created an information. I am 10% behind schedule. That's an information I have made based on the data that I have gathered. Now the word reports comes in. It means you need to know which stakeholder requires what. That is work performance reporting. This will happen in the monitor and control project work. Here we will be reporting what has information we have gathered. So yes, I am 10% behind the schedule, and I expect that we will cover it up. We are going to actually, we will be providing this information to generate a decision to the stakeholders. Data we have collected, information we have made. Now we need to create the reports. Maybe the report to the top management is completely different than the report that you need to prepare for CFO. You need to prepare for your director of the department. You need to prepare for the construction manager. All these reports can have a completely different template because that is the report. And once you are actually identifying the report, you have to focus on the stakeholder that you have. So monitoring and controlling project work will distribute the report so that the stakeholders, sponsors can take a right decision and educated guess. And then obviously, once you have the report available, it will be given and shared to the multiple resources through the project control processes and team members. Work performance is the raw data. Work performance information is the status of the deliverables, implementation status changes, forecasted because I am 10% behind. So what is the forecast that what could happen, whether I need to be worried about, or is it within a within an acceptable ranges? And then you have the reports, decisions or raised issues or actions, status reports, memos, justifications, electronic dashboards, where people are now taking a decision looking at the information you have provided, that we are 10% behind schedule, 5% behind cost. Once you go and they said, okay, this is just within the variance ranges, let's keep it like this. So work performance data is a raw data that you collect. Information is you make sense of it, and report is to the different people or the different stakeholders so that they can take the right decision based on the data that you have provided. Then there is another smaller thing, life cycle or a process of deliverable. Deliverable goes to the multiple stages. I mean, these 2-3 informations are at different stage. I mean, parts of the book. So I have gathered it one place. So all the executing processes, and that is technically one, which is a direct and managed project work. It gives you a deliverable. So a deliverable is, I, as Mudassir said, Mr. Iqbal, I have done my job. Now I have a question to Mr. Iqbal. Would you take that statement that I have done my job and this is the deliverable that I have created? Please approve it. Will you take this deliverable to the client?
No, there has to be a quality check and see whether it has complied to the scope exactly. What are the specifications? So I need to go through by each and every aspect of it,
So
accept it.
carry on.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So based on my statement, you will just not say it is done. It has to a QC passed. So I'm sure you all have seen many of the equipments or the things that you buy, it says QA QC passed. What does control quality makes? The control quality is actually gets you a verified deliverable, which means, yes, Tharmila, what does verified deliverable means?
It's just having it reviewed and making sure that it's correct and validated.
Correct and validated in terms of what?
Whatever the requirement was, the scope of work.
Whatever the requirements and specifications has been identified in the beginning. So verified deliverables is the last checkpoint in a control quality knowledge area where your team, all of us, is saying that this item is perfect. Consider this control quality as an Amazon is now closing the box. After this, it is not in their hands. What will happen once Amazon closes the box and put it into the logistics for delivery? What happens next? Yes, Dushi. What happens next?
It's now with the delivery person.
Okay, and then what happens? What happens once you
Yeah, it goes to the customer.
What will happen?
It goes to the customer.
And customer will do what?
Open the box.
So they will either accept it or reject it. So control quality is like still your home is, your door is closed. You are making sure things are done as you understood from the project plan document, risk management document, everything you have made sure. Once you have made sure, you close the box and you put it into the delivery, it comes to Roshan. Roshan opens the box and he says, sorry, return. So this is where validate scope is a process which is part of the scope knowledge area, where you are actually demo the resource project, where you are actually demo the deliverable, where you are actually showing the deliverable. Is this the deliverable that you have requested for? And Roshan says yes, fine, he accepts it or he returns it. So once the accepted deliverables comes out of the validate scope process, it goes into the lesson learned, because now we can say that what we did, which worked, and during this process of delivering this equipment or delivering this task or delivering this phase or delivering this deliverable, what did not work for me, what are the risks that we face, how we minimize or mitigate those risks, Who are the resources that we use? So deliverable is direct and managed project work is a process in an integration knowledge area where it says, Mudassir says that, sir, Mr. Iqbal, I have done the job. Mr. Iqbal is a project manager. He says, okay. He sends this to Tharmila. She is a quality control manager. She makes sure that the deliverable that Mudassir has produced, it is as per the specifications, requirements, acceptance criteria of the client. He checks some of the data, verifies. I mean, take an example of, again, this pandemic. They are testing it on 5,000, 10,000. They are not going to test it on millions. So this is what she tests. She does some smoke tests, some stress tests, some braking tests. So all these things. Once she says quality done, then it comes to Ms. Dushi and she actually closes it and sends it to Roshan. Roshan receives it and he said, now, who is the final authority of saying that this item is right and wrong? Mr. Roshan. He opens the box and he says, sorry, I did not ask for it. Closes the box and return. Or if he accepts it, then you go move into the lesson. So deliverable, verified deliverable, something which as per our project management team, it conforms the requirement. It conforms that what is expected of us. And then we go into the accepted deliverable. And this is where we do a party of lesson learned and the final report. Any ambiguity, any question in this cycle of deliverable?
What happens if the consumer does not or customer does not accept the deliverable?
What do you think happens?
It goes back and it gets recalled, or
And so
it gets reviewed back again at.
Yes. So it is reviewed back. It could be a defect repair. So I mean, I gave an example of Amazon, which you have written, but once you are in front of the client, he says that this is not working, that is not working, I did not ask for it, please change that, please change this. So this is what happens during the validate scope process. And that is where you identify the defect repair. During the validate scope, the corrective and preventive actions does not happen. It is a defect repair because the job is done. You have verified it. And that is what we see once we starting a quality, that this is an area which is the most expensive for us, that if our client says no, because it means the whole process of 10 days of delivering this project, this deliverable is now questionable. And because you are standing in front of the client, you have lost your repo, word of mouth, and all these things happen if you don't have the right accepted deliverable. So we will look into the quality, that this is the most expensive failure that we could have on our project. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
So the next important topic is the business documents. We have two kinds of business documents on our project. These are input to our, these are input to our project. These are done before the project as a project started. Business case identification or business case development could be a project in itself, but an execution of the project for that business case an independent project. So in a pre-project stage, business case is being done. Business case is a driving force behind the project. It tells us why it is worth it to spend money on the project. It defines us what does it mean to have this project. It tells you that what the sponsor and the people who have actually asked for these changes or this project is thinking in terms of value of the project to the business. It defines you necessary information from the business point of view. It does not look things the way it is being technically done. It identifies the worth of the required investment. It tells them that why we are investing something, what is the return on this thing. That is a business case. The key content of the business case is like a feasibility study and a cost benefit analysis, and why are we needing something, what is an objective of it. Business case answers the questions like, why are we doing this project? Is it because of the market demand? Is it because of the customer pressure? Is it because that there is a legal changes are happening? Is it because that there is an organizational need? Is it because the technology is advancing? Is it because there is a social need? So, or is it because of the ecological needs? So this is why what defines in the business case that we are looking into the project because we want, the market is demanding right now all the applications that are web-based should have a mobile application. Right now we need to do this because people are not willing to invest anymore in their infrastructure. So we should be having our application ready to be deployed on a cloud application like Dropbox, like Gmail, like any other application which we connect. This is a technological advances. So you could do the business, you could do the project because of any of it. And that is what the business case defined. The business case is a description of what your company is trying to achieve, is trying to get out of this, from this project. How much money you are planning to make from this project? What is the benefit to your organization? What are the future businesses you might gain from this project? The business case tells everyone why the company should do the project. It's an input to building the project charter that tells everyone that project is actually started, explains what is going to be delivered, who is authorizing the project, who are the main project stakeholders who will be impacted from this one. Project business case is a document which illustrates the cost benefit analysis. It is a good business case will demonstrate basic informations like why the project was initiated, what the problem it is going to solve, the details of the what processes will be involved, what resources are required to plan the action of the project, the benefits of putting the plan into the action, what specific next step is needed to start the project. This is all part of your business case. The project sponsor is generally accountable for the development and maintenance of the business case document. The project manager is responsible for providing the right recommendation and oversight to keep the business case intact, and most importantly, keep three documents aligned: business case, project management plan, charter, and the project benefit management plan. So these four documents need to remain aligned with the execution of the project. Because as I told you, one second. So as I told you that you initiated with a different objectives, and some of those objectives are not reality anymore, or you could not deliver it. So you have to make sure that these four documents remain aligned. The project needs a business case before it can initially properly initiated, because business case defines the end game. It tells you once you out of the tunnel what you are expecting of this business. it is going to tell you that yes, we are investing this much of amount, money, resources, time, and what are we expecting. The next is a project benefit management plan. You have defined the business case. These are the benefits that we are expecting. When? What is the timeline? Who is expecting? Mr. Iqbal, Mudassir, Dushi, Roshan, Tarmila. Who is expecting this benefit? Who? I mean, yes, once the project is done, maybe all of us are benefited. But today, with the first deliverable, who? So before jumping into the plan, let's discuss what is benefit, a valuable outcome of the project. You need to identify how you are going to maximize the benefit, how you are going to make sure that it is not only you are delivering the benefit, you are delivering in a way that is sustaining to the benefit, sustaining the benefits to the project by the project. It is not that you have just done it, finished. No, make sure it is maintained after delivery. It deals all the expected benefit details in the benefit. Any change will go into the change control board. So some of the benefits could be reducing business cost, increasing the sales, meeting the requirement of legislations. Project manager is responsible for project benefit management plan. You need to look and target the benefit realization, whether it is tangible benefits or intangible benefits, strategic alignments, time frames, whether a short-term benefit, a long-term benefit. What is the measure of success? Show some results, assumptions, risk, owner of the benefit. What is the budget that is going to happen? The inputs to the benefit management plan come from the business case of the project where you have all the benefits. Now you put it on the timeline and you said after the first delivery, this is the benefit we are going to deliver. This is the benefit we are going to deliver. This is the benefit we are going to deliver. And the first benefit is for Mudassir. The second benefit is for Roshan. Third benefit is for Tarmila. So this is all what is going to happen once you identifying the project benefits. So very importantly, the project benefit management plan, the project benefits management plan will be reviewed regularly throughout the project to ensure that the declared benefits are still on track for delivery. Some benefits are delivered over a period of time long after the project delivery. These documents, which are created through the process of business analysis before the project and then pass into the project as an input to the so that the project to the first process, which is a develop project charter. It's a pre-project. You have business case benefit management plan. Then this business case benefit management plan, you extract the right information, you create a project management plan, you execute various, and then there is a post project, which is an operation which is expected that what is the reason that you have created the project, the reason for the business case, you have it as a post project timeline. So you could see business case is a pre, then you have project charter till completion, and then you have a startup, which is a project post project diagram. So we are what? So we are on 7:52. I think let us keep it here for today. Yes, I think let us keep it here. We are a little behind in our schedule, which is fine for me. So this is where let us close our topic for today. Please let me know if you have any question or anything else that you would like me to discuss or make any further clarification. Is that fine for today? Hello. Good.
I have a couple. I'm not quite sure about this project benefit management plan as to which stage that has to be developed. Like
Before the project.
so it's in the initiation planning stage. You're developing that.
No, it is even before the initiation of
So
planning stage. It is the
pre-project.
reason that the project is started.
So I guess what differentiates that from a project charter? Like I know you described it a little bit, but
So project charter takes the right information from the business case. Business case is a bigger document. It has a feasibility study. It has the context. It has the other information. But you take the information. Maybe a business case is being created or a benefit management plan is being created, and you have 2 or 3 projects initiated from it. So project charter for a specific project only takes the right information that this is the project, this is the end game, this is the risk, this is the ballpark figure in terms of cost and time. These are the people who are going to be benefit as a project charter. Project charter signifies that the project has been initiated. I'm sure you must have heard that an organization spent a lot of time and money in multiple business cases, but all business cases do not get into an execution.
Strategic alignment.